Welcome to our comprehensive guide on taxation law. In this video, we'll break down the fundamental concepts you need to understand about how taxes work in India. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just curious about the tax system, this module will help you grasp the essentials. We'll start with the basic definitions, move through the rationale behind taxes, and explore the structure and principles that govern taxation in India. Let's begin our journey into the world of taxes and see why understanding these concepts is crucial for everyone. Income Tax Act 1961 provides a broad definition of the term person. It's not just limited to individuals. According to Section 231, a person includes individuals, Hindu undivided families, companies, firms, associations of persons, local authorities, and even artificial juridical persons. This means that for tax purposes, the law recognizes a wide range of entities as liable to pay taxes, not just people in the everyday sense. Understanding who qualifies as a person is the first step in grasping how tax obligations are assigned. Next, let's talk about the term assessee. Under Section 2(7) of the Income Tax Act, an assessee is any person who is liable to pay tax or any other sum under the Act. This includes not only those directly paying taxes but also those for whom proceedings are initiated or who are deemed to be assessees by law. In other words, if you're involved in any tax-related process, you're considered an assessee. This definition is important because it determines who is responsible for fulfilling tax obligations and facing consequences for noncompliance. Surcharge is an additional charge on the income tax, levied at specific rates when income crosses certain thresholds. For example, if your income exceeds 50 lakh rupees, a 10% surcharge is applied to your tax. If it exceeds 1 crore, the surcharge increases to 15%. This system ensures that those with higher incomes contribute more to the nation's revenue. Surcharges are a way for the government to collect extra funds from the wealthier sections of society, supporting the principle of progressive taxation. Taxes are not just a burden, they serve important purposes in society. Governments collect taxes to correct externalities like taxing tobacco to offset health costs. Taxes also fund public services such as defense, health, and education, which are more efficiently provided by the state. Additionally, taxes help redistribute wealth, reducing inequality through social programs. Understanding the rationale behind taxes helps us see them as a tool for social good, not just a financial obligation. Externality is a side effect of an economic activity that affects others who aren't directly involved. For example, pollution from a factory impacts the health of nearby residents. Taxes on goods like tobacco or activities that cause pollution are meant to address these externalities. By making such goods more expensive, the government discourages their use and helps cover the social costs they create. This is a key reason why some products are taxed more heavily than others. Taxes in India are broadly classified into direct and indirect taxes. Direct taxes are paid straight to the government by the taxpayer, such as income tax and corporate tax. Indirect taxes like GST and excise duty are collected by intermediaries and passed on to the government. The end consumer ultimately bears the cost of indirect taxes. This distinction is important because it affects how taxes are collected and who ultimately pays them. India, different regulatory bodies oversee direct and indirect taxes. The Central Board of Direct Taxes (CBDT) manages direct taxes like income tax, while the Central Board of Excise and Customs (CBEC) handles indirect taxes such as GST and customs duty. These bodies ensure that tax laws are implemented correctly and that the government collects revenue efficiently. Knowing who regulates which taxes helps in understanding the structure of tax administration. Income tax is a classic example of a direct tax. It's levied directly on the income of individuals, Hindu undivided families, and companies. The amount you pay depends on your total income, with various slabs and rates applied. Income tax is a major source of revenue for the government and plays a key role in funding public services and infrastructure. Understanding how income tax works is essential for every taxpayer. Taxation: 3 important terms are used: financial year FY, previous year PY, and assessment year AY. The financial year runs from April 1st to March 31st. The previous year is when you actually earn your income, while the assessment year is when your income is assessed and taxed. For example, income earned from April 2018 to March 2019 is assessed in the year starting April 2019. Keeping these terms straight is crucial for filing your taxes correctly. Tax rates can be structured in 2 main ways: flat rate and slab rate. A flat rate means everyone pays the same percentage regardless of income. This is common for corporate tax. A slab rate means the percentage increases as income rises, which is how individual income tax works in India. The slab system ensures that those who earn more pay a higher rate, making the tax system progressive and fair. Individuals under 60 years old, income tax is calculated based on slabs. For the 2017-18 financial year, income up to Rs. 2.5 lakhs is exempt. Income between Rs. 2.5 and 5 lakhs is taxed at 5%, between 5 and 10 lakhs at 20%, and above 10 lakhs at 30%. This structure ensures that higher earners pay more tax, aligning with the principle of equity in taxation. For resident senior citizens aged 60 or above but less than 80, the tax slabs are slightly more generous. Income up to Rs. 3 lakhs is exempt, 3 to 5 lakhs is taxed at 5%, 5 to 10 lakhs at 20%, and above 10 lakhs at 30%. This recognizes the need to ease the tax burden on older individuals, reflecting a social welfare approach in tax policy. For those aged 80 or above, the tax slabs are even more relaxed. Income up to Rs. 5 lakhs is exempt, 5 to 10 lakhs is taxed at 20%, and above 10 lakhs at 30%. This policy aims to support the oldest members of society by reducing their tax liability, acknowledging their reduced earning capacity. Let's look at a practical example. If your taxable income is Rs. 11 lots, the first 2.5 lots are exempt, the next 2.5 lots are taxed at 5%, the next 5 lots at 20%, and the remaining 1 lot at 30%. Add these up and you get the total tax. Then add 3% as health and education cess. This step-by-step calculation helps you understand exactly how your tax liability is determined. For individuals, a surcharge is added if your income exceeds certain limits, 10% for income over 50 lakhs and 15% for over 1 crore. On top of the tax and surcharge, a health and education cess is applied, 3% earlier, now 4%. These extra charges help fund health and education initiatives, making the tax system more responsive to public needs. Domestic companies are taxed at 30%, but if their turnover is less than Rs. 50 crores, the rate is 25%. Surcharges apply at higher income levels, 7% for income over 1 crore and 12% for over 10 crores. A 4% health and education cess is also added. Foreign companies are taxed at 40% with different surcharge rates. These rules ensure that companies contribute fairly to the nation's finances. Tax laws are interpreted strictly and literally. This means that only what is clearly written in the law is enforced, leaving little room for ambiguity. This approach ensures fairness and predictability, so taxpayers know exactly what is expected of them. It also limits the discretion of tax authorities, reducing the risk of arbitrary decisions. Administration of taxes in India is overseen by several key bodies. The Central Board of Direct Taxes, CBDT, handles direct taxes, while the Central Board of Excise and Customs, CBEC, manages indirect taxes. For disputes, there are tribunals like the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal IT8E for direct taxes and the Custom Excise Service Tax Appellate Tribunal CESAT for indirect taxes. These institutions ensure that tax laws are applied consistently and disputes are resolved efficiently. Companies registered under the Companies Act pay corporate tax on their net income. Individuals and Hindu undivided families, HUFs, pay income tax on their earnings. This distinction is important because the rules, rates, and procedures can differ significantly between corporate and individual taxpayers. Understanding which category you fall into helps you comply with the correct tax regulation. Indian Constitution provides the legal foundation for taxation. Article 265 states that no tax can be levied or collected except by authority of law. This ensures that all taxes are backed by legislation, protecting citizens from arbitrary taxation. The power to levy taxes is divided between the Parliament and state legislatures, ensuring a balanced federal structure. Article 246 of the Constitution divides the power to make tax laws between the Parliament and state legislatures. Schedule VII lists the subjects on which each can legislate, the Union list for Parliament, the state list for states, and the concurrent list for both. This division ensures clarity and prevents overlap, making tax administration more efficient. Article 254 addresses situations where state and central laws conflict. If a state law is inconsistent with a central law on a concurrent subject, the central law prevails. This ensures uniformity in important areas, including taxation, and prevents confusion for taxpayers and administrators alike. Article 249 allows Parliament to legislate on matters in the state list if it's in the national interest. If the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by 2/3 majority, Parliament can make laws on state subjects for the whole country. This provision ensures flexibility in the tax system, allowing the central government to address national priorities when needed. Introduction of Goods and Services Tax, GST, required significant constitutional changes. The 101st Amendment Act, 2017 inserted Article 246A, giving Parliament exclusive power to legislate on GST for interstate trade. This reform streamlined the tax system, making it more efficient and reducing the complexity of multiple indirect taxes. Adam Smith, a pioneer in economics, outlined 4 key principles of taxation in his book Wealth of Nations. These are the principles of equality, certainty, convenience, and economy. They remain the foundation of sound tax policy, guiding governments to design fair and effective tax systems. The principle of equality means that taxes should be levied according to a person's ability to pay. It's not about everyone paying the same amount, but about proportional contribution. Those who earn more should pay more, ensuring both horizontal and vertical equity. This principle supports progressive taxation, where tax rates increase with income. Certainty in taxation means that taxpayers should know exactly how much tax they owe when it's due and how to pay it. This reduces anxiety and prevents corruption, as there's no room for arbitrary decisions. Clear and specific tax laws help taxpayers plan their finances and fulfill their obligations without confusion. Taxes should be collected in a manner and at a time that's convenient for taxpayers. For example, collecting agricultural tax after harvest or allowing payment by check makes it easier for people to comply. Convenience in tax collection increases compliance and reduces resistance to paying taxes. The principle of economy means that the cost of collecting taxes should be as low as possible. If too much is spent on administration, the tax becomes inefficient. Efficient tax systems maximize revenue for the government while minimizing administrative expenses and economic disruption. The Constitution places several limits on the government's power to tax. For example, taxes must not violate fundamental rights, deny equal protection, or impose unreasonable restrictions on business. Certain taxes are prohibited, such as those supporting a particular religion or taxing union property by states. These safeguards protect citizens and maintain fairness in the tax system. Article 304A allows state legislatures to tax goods from other states provided local goods are taxed similarly. This prevents discrimination and ensures a level playing field for goods, whether produced locally or imported from other states. It's an exception to the rule that taxes shouldn't impede free trade within India. Section 4 of the Income Tax Act, 1961, lays down the basis for charging income tax. It states that income tax is charged for each assessment year at specified rates based on the total income of the previous year. This section forms the legal foundation for the annual process of tax assessment and collection. Calculating your income tax involves several steps. First, add up all your income from various sources to get your gross total income. Next, subtract deductions allowed under Section 80 such as contributions to provident funds or insurance premiums. The remaining amount is your taxable income, on which tax is calculated as per the applicable slab rates. Income Tax Act classifies income under 5 heads: salaries, income from house property, profits and gains of business or profession, capital gains, and income from other sources. Each head has its own rules for calculation and deductions. Understanding these categories helps you organize your finances and file your tax returns accurately. Gross total income is the sum of income from all 5 heads before any deductions. It represents your total earnings for the year, forming the base for further calculations. Accurately determining your gross total income is the first step in the tax computation process. Section 80 of the Income Tax Act allows various deductions from your gross total income. These include contributions to provident funds, life insurance premiums, interest on education loans, and more. Claiming these deductions reduces your taxable income and consequently your tax liability. After subtracting all eligible deductions from your gross total income, you arrive at your taxable income. This is the amount on which your income tax is calculated according to the relevant slab rates. Keeping track of deductions ensures you don't pay more tax than necessary. Once you've calculated your tax based on slab rates, add any applicable surcharge and health and education cess. The sum of these amounts gives you your final tax payable. This ensures that all components of your tax liability are accounted for before you make your payment. The health and education cess is an additional charge on your income tax and surcharge. Currently, it's set at 4%. The funds collected through this cess are used to support health and education initiatives across the country, making it a vital part of the tax system. Tax laws must respect fundamental rights as enshrined in the Constitution. For example, they cannot violate the right to equality or impose unreasonable restrictions on the right to do business. These constitutional safeguards ensure that the tax system remains just and does not infringe on basic freedoms. Certain properties and incomes are exempt from taxation. For instance, state legislatures cannot tax union property, and the income and property of a state are generally exempt from union taxation. However, Parliament can make exceptions for state-run businesses. These rules maintain the financial independence of different levels of government. Article 301 of the Constitution ensures that taxes do not impede the free flow of trade, commerce, and intercourse across India. This provision supports a unified national market, preventing states from imposing barriers that could disrupt economic activity. To sum up, taxation law in India is a complex but well-structured system. It defines who pays taxes, how much, and under what rules, all while balancing constitutional safeguards and economic principles. Understanding these basics helps you navigate your tax obligations confidently and ensures you're making the most of available deductions and benefits. As we move forward, remember that tax knowledge empowers you to make informed financial decisions. Staying updated on tax laws and understanding your rights and responsibilities can save you money and prevent legal troubles. With a solid grasp of these concepts, you're better equipped to manage your finances and contribute positively to society.